Hi guys, today I will be showing you how to make this 3D soccer ball, and you'll need about 65 single rubber bands. I stuffed it with a cotton ball and it actually bounces pretty well. So let's get started. First, we are going to make 8 of these little dots for our soccer ball. And I'm going to make 2 with you. It's pretty easy, and you'll have to pause the video to make 6 more for a total of 8. So my soccer ball will be black and white. I'm taking a single band and I'm going to loop it 4 times on my hook. And I will do that one more time with this other one, taking my next single black band and looping it 4 times onto my hook. And now I'm taking a single white band and getting those loops right onto my single white band. And we'll do that for my second one. Same thing. And it should look like that. And you want to pause the video and make 6 more right now. Come back when you're done. And the next one, we'll do a single black band. Once again, we're looping it 4 times on my hook, taking 2 single white bands, and we're going to pull the black band right onto the 2 single bands. With our loom set in any configuration, we're going to use 6 pegs, and you can also do this on the monster tail. So we're going to take one side, put it on any peg, and we're going to stretch that across and looping it right onto the other side. And if possible, we're going to twist, because I couldn't twist it with it on my hook. I took one side off and twisted in the middle. And we're going to continue with 2 single bands. We're going to get it from one peg, twist it in the center, and loop it right across to the other peg that's across from it. And we're going to cover 6 pegs. Last 2 pegs, taking 2 single rubber bands, twist in the center, and looping it right across to cover the last 2 pegs. So now your 6 pegs are covered. Pull the black a little bit, and the black can be anywhere right now, and we can adjust it once the ball comes out. And we're going to take 6 single white bands, and if your soccer ball is a different color, then go ahead and use that color. And we're just going to loop it around our loom, creating a hexagon. We're going to go under, grabbing the bottom 2 bands, and loop up and over to the center. And you're going to repeat that for all 6 pegs. And be careful not to let the top bands come off. Hold it down with your fingers if you have to. Push it down. That was row number 2. And we're going to expand row number 2 now to cover 8 pegs. And the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take the 2 bands off of the center 3rd peg and stretching it out to the center 4th peg. And we're going to pull a single band from the 2nd pegs on either side, and we want to pull the one that is attached to this one. So I'm going to fish out a band from the 2nd peg, and I can see the other side is going to the 1st peg, so I'm going to take that band all the way to the third peg. And I did my left side. I'm going to do on my right side, and I can see that this one is attached to the peg, the first peg, so I'm taking this one band, this side, and looping it to the third peg on the right side. So now I have a single band there, single there, two there, single, single, and these obviously have double bands or double loops on them. And for our third row, we're going to add these ones with the black on them, and we are going to alternate it. So we're going to put one here from the first to the first peg, and then the next to it we're putting a single white band right across without the black in the center for the color, and skipping one, adding the bands with the black in it, skipping one, and looping just a single white band. Again, add a little color, looping from the third peg to the center fourth, and looping just a single band across, and this one will have one that adds color to our soccer ball, or in Europe, our football. And then the last band will just be a single band. So you should have 8 rubber bands, including the ones with the black band on them, covering all 8 pegs. And once again, we're going to go under, and this peg has one band, looping it up and over because of the transfer. So this one has one, loop up and over, just continue around, looping the bottom bands up and over to the center. And what you should have left on each peg are 2 loops per peg. Before you go on, check to make sure that is the case. That was row number 3, and for row number 4 we are just going to do 8 single bands covering 8 pegs normally, with no color to our ball. Push the bottom bands down if they're in the way. Loop the bottom 2 bands up and over for all 8 pegs, leaving 2 loops per peg. Push it down. For row number 5, we are going to add the bands with the black color, and this time we're going to add it in the between the 2 pegs that we didn't do the last time. So for our first one, the last time we put it from the first right to the center first, and this time we'll do it from the first left to the center first. Then we'll put a single band here, adding our color from the left second to the left third peg, a single band there, adding color from the center fourth to the right third, a single band, adding color from the right first to the right second peg, and then a single white band right there from the first right to the center first. Once again, go under, grabbing the bottom 2 bands, loop up and over for all 8 pegs. Check to make sure you only have 2 loops per pegs. And now we're doing row number 6, and we are going to just loop 8 single bands normally around the loom. Go under, grabbing the bottom 2 bands, up and over for all 8 pegs. Push it down, that's row number 6, and now I want to reduce it back to 6 pegs. Let's start with the one in the second peg, either on the right or the left, and we want to pull the band that's attached to the 3rd peg. So I'm going to pull a band from the second right peg, and I'm checking to see that the other side is attached to the 3rd right peg, and I'm attaching it to the 1st right peg. And I have 1 band left on the right 2nd peg, and I'm going to move these 2 bands off the 3rd right peg onto the 2nd right peg. And now you have 3 bands here and 3 bands here on the 1st peg and on the 2nd peg. Now on the left side, I'm going to pull a band, and I want to find one that is attached to the 3rd left peg, and this is the one, and I'm looping it to the 1st left peg. So now our 2nd left peg has 1 single band, and I'm going to move the 2 bands off the 3rd left peg and transferring it onto the 2nd left peg. And now the 1st and the 2nd left peg both have 3 single bands on them. And we are finally going to remove these 2 bands off of the 4th center peg, and we're going to attach it to the 3rd center peg. We just have to move these bands up off the center 3rd peg and reattaching those loops onto there. So now we are back to 6 pegs, and we're going to take 3 single bands, one at a time, black to add color, and I'm looping it 4 times on my hook. And I'll do that for the other 2, push it up, loop it 4 times on my hook for all 3 black bands. That's what it should look like. And we are going to attach it onto the right 1st peg. So get your hook and pull those 3 bands off of the 1st right peg, and pulling the 1st black loops off of the hook and onto those 3 loops, and then putting it back onto that first right peg. That's the first band off of my hook. I'm going to skip one, and I'm putting it here onto the left first peg, taking those bands, the loops off of the first peg, and pulling the black onto it, and then reattaching it, putting the loops right back onto the first left peg very carefully. So my 2 black loops are on the first 2 pegs on the loom, and my last one will go onto the 3rd peg on the loom, these loops. So I'm going to pull that off of the 3rd peg in the center and pulling the loops onto those 2 rubber bands that we took off the 3rd peg and looping it back on. So now our 3 black color bands we just looped are on these 3 pegs, and we are ready to take it off the loom. Going clockwise, you can pull it off of any peg. I'm going to do the center first, getting it onto my hook, and just going around your loom clockwise, getting all the loops off of the peg and onto your hook, and just follow to the next peg around your loom. And the last one on the other side, and pull your soccer ball off the loom. And that's what it should look like. And with this hole, I'm taking a cotton ball, and you can stuff it with anything you want, including old rubber bands. So my cotton ball's in my soccer ball, and I'm taking a single band to cinch it off, getting it on my hook and pulling those loops we have on the hook right onto the single band. That's what you should have, and then pulling one side to tie it off, our slip knot band, cinch it very carefully, don't break it, and reach in, and let's tuck that slip knot band off, away. So there's your soccer ball, and you can adjust it and push it around so it's more spherical, and tuck in loose bands if you want. So there are your soccer balls. I hope you like them. Thanks for watching.